the more likely you are to be effective as a leader. So I wouldn't say that it's easy to establish credibility. It's one that requires consistency and visibility. So in that way, I would say that it's not easy. But if you're full on committed to doing what it takes in order to garner that credibility, meaning that you're going to show up and be visible, that you're going to own your responsibilities and your contributions, that you're going to put in the work, then I find that it will come easier to you and you'll start attracting opportunities for leadership rather than you having to chase them down. Well, my name is Dr. Amavi Sanchez. I'm a neuropsychologist, organizational consultant, and executive coach. I'm so passionate about leadership because I believe that leaders are force multipliers and that these skills, these opportunities that we create for people to lead, it has an impact, not just on organizations, but communities. So I am so honored to have the opportunity to be here and talk about leadership, but also to be able to help develop and grow future leaders. So when we're talking about branding and leadership, I think it's important to just think about it in a compartmentalized way. One is that if you want your brand to stand out, what do you want to be known for? And part of that as a leader is defining how you want credibility be tied to the consistency of your brand, the awareness of your brand, and the recognition of your brand. So credibility is one of these things. It's not just essential to you being an effective leader, but it's absolutely critical. You're trying to create this funnel with your professional brand. It's not just you want to be able to make an impact and get out to people, but you want to think about how it's relevant to what you're wanting to do and the impact that you're wanting to make. So not all of us can be an Elon Musk, right? Not all of us can be Mark Zuckerberg, right? But you can make an impact in your lane of genius. So when you think about your professional brand, what is it that you want to be known for? What is the impact that you want to make? And what is the likelihood that people will come to you for that? They're more likely to come if you're seen as a go-to expert in your respective area, if you're someone who's credible, if you're consistent, if you're visible. So again, if you're having problems with wanting to be seen and known and acknowledged for what you do, it's more than likely people are not going to come to you for that. And so when you're thinking about your brand, it's more so what's the takeaway you want people to have? What's the experience you want them to have had with your brand? If you go to McDonald's and you have lousy customer service and they forget your fries and they say, "Don't have a good day," would you likely go back to them? Probably not. So it's the same with your professional brand. When you're thinking about what's the experience I want people to have with my work and the impact that I made. Most of the time you want it to be positive, but what do you want them to know about you and your brand and how you serve in a unique way? So when you're talking about wanting to identify your own brand, me as an individual, as a professional who's aspiring to be a leader or have influence, somebody who has influence, there's a number of different assessments out there that can help you kind of narrow down the things that are more consistent with how you work, right? And then after you identify those things, you're going to think, is there any meaning to any of these things or these things that I'm attracted to or want to be known for? So some of those different assessment instruments are things like the Clifton Strengths Assessment or the Personal Values Inventory or the Myers-Briggs, the DISC assessment. I've created an assessment that's very similar that has ideas around leadership capabilities, but also looks at promotional readiness. But these things really kind of help you hone in on like, what are my strengths? Where are the areas I need to improve? And then after you get all that information, then is there anything there that you want to expand upon and have be the core message for your individual professional brand? So that's where I would start you on your individual exploration of professional brand. But if you think about the fact that, okay, I'm an individual and I also work for an organization, your organization has different missions, values, and goals than maybe you do. I think the ideal marriage between the two is that you work for some place where you're also aligned with the mission, values, and goals. There's plenty of people that work for organizations and they don't align with the mission, they don't align with the values, and they're miserable in what they're doing every day. So I'm saying if you're looking for that job, that perfect fit, you want to also acknowledge that your organization or even your industry has their own set of missions, values, and goals. And that can be separate than yours for your professional brand. It can go alongside as well as you continue to think about how you're promoting yourself to potential, organizations or decision makers and places you want to work. If you're thinking, I want to work somewhere that values community, they value respect, being able to be honest and have ethics and integrity, these might be things as an individual or a professional I also want to embody and internalize. So just think about, as you're developing your own professional brand, what defines me as a leader? And then secondly, if I'm working for an organization, am I in alignment with what they promote? And can I use any of that as I promote myself to others? As far as the steps, so we talked about, hey, let's find out what's out there as far as who I am consistently showing up as. What are the things I prefer to do, the things I don't prefer to do? What are the values I stand behind? What are the values I don't embody or endorse? And then the next thing I would say you would do as a leader who's developing a professional brand is figure out what your core message is. Right? If it's too daunting of a task, then are you working for an organization or industry or aspire to that has similar values that you want to embody? And then think how you can parallel the two to create your own values, your own goals, and really create a core message around that, okay? So that would be the next thing I would say is create your core message. And then decide who you want to hear it. Who do you want to hear it? Do you want to share this message with potential employers, with colleagues, with superiors? Do you want to just have it be something on a website, your LinkedIn profile? Who do you want to share the message with? And then the next thing I would say is be consistent about sharing the message. The consistency of your message, the visibility of your message, and connecting with an audience in a meaningful way is going to help you elevate your professional brand quickly, and it's also going to help provide opportunities that will come your way, okay? So then next with that, hey, do I keep this professional brand riding with me for the next 10, 15 years? This is who I am. It never changes. Well, I think it depends on your industry or occupation or what it is you're doing. But most of the time, I would say there may be some portions of that message that could change over time depending upon industry trends and what's happening. But the core values might not change. You may still be that individual 15, 20 years down the line. And that's important when you tell people about who you are and how you serve as a leader. But if it is something that's a drastic change, hey, I'm hopping an industry. I used to work in healthcare and now I'm going